Edgar watched Alessandra and his grandmother meet up with a couple of women he was familiar with. Now that he knew where she would be, he walked away in search of something to drink. A room full of family members here for his marriage meant many questions he wasn't in the mood to answer. All that mattered was the fact he had gotten married. Why did anyone need to find out where they shared their first kiss or how they fell in love? That was certainly not their business. Running off to a corner already? Dominic came to Edgar's side. Take me with you. You know, I should be upset with you. Your marriage has made me question when I will be next. You, Tobias, Raphael, and I were hell-bent on not getting married. You and Tobias have broken the pact. I take it you have not heard the news, Edgar said as he took a glass of wine from a servant walking around with a tray. Raphael is about to break the pact. What? Dominic exclaimed, ignoring the looks of the people around. Mind your business, he told them, before returning to Edgar. What the hell do you mean he's going to break it? That brute is always out somewhere fighting, so where did he have the time to fall in love with someone? Edgar swirled his glass, amused by Dominic's panic over being the last one to be married. In his home. I've heard it is a maid of his, but it is a one-sided romance for now. Dominic snatched away Edgar's glass of wine and gulped it down. Being the last one from their friend group to get married meant his parents would jump down his throat now. I need to move somewhere far from home. I've even heard your friend Oliver is getting married, which is surprising. I heard it as a woman. I could never forget his anger with me because I pointed out his feelings for you. You did? Edgar asked, as this was news to him. This explains why Oliver never got along with Dominic when Dominic visited them in their youth. Get me another drink. I need something to relax before you two decided to find a corner and hide and didn't invite me. Daniel's voice was heard. Edgar and Dominic groaned at the same time. He's my little brother, but I find everything about him annoying. I am certain we picked him up from the side of the road. Be grateful for being an only child, Dominic muttered. That's rude. Daniel glared at his brother. Sometimes it annoyed him to see Dominic act more like a brother to Edgar than him. Edgar Collins, the talk of the town. You must be enjoying the spotlight being on you. I am overflowing with joy, Edgar replied sarcastically. What do you want? Let's get this over with. Nothing. Like everyone else who has gathered here under our grandmother's wishes, I congratulate you on getting married. I wish for the same happiness that I have found, Daniel said. He then reached out to touch Edgar, but quickly decided against it after the stare he received. Well then, like everyone else, I have some questions about your marriage. Daniel, Dominic sighed, knowing this won't end well. Just shut up and find someone else to annoy. Edgar and I were conversing. Well, why can't I join? This party is all about him and his newfound wife. His wife, whom he married quite fast, I might add. A month before his marriage, he had been very much single and enjoying his time with a certain lady. Do you mean to tell me that he met Alessandra, immediately fell in love, and changed his views about marriage? Yeah, right. Daniel scoffed. Daniel believed everyone was a fool for believing in this fishy story about Edgar's marriage. No one, not even the king or Rose Collins, could get Edgar to settle down and get married. Be honest with me. Does her family have something that you want? Normally, you would be the type to just take it. Daniel, Dominic warned his brother for the last time. Give it a rest and find something else to talk about. Edgar ignored the fight between the two brothers and took another glass from a servant while he watched Alessandra leave his grandmother's side with the troublesome Maxine Collins. She was a young girl who worried her mother because of her love for boyish things and gossip. He kept his eyes on her to ensure no pests would bother her, like the one who now stepped into his view, blocking him from watching Alessandra. You have not answered my question, Edgar, said Daniel. He was determined to get the truth by the end of the night. He knew Edgar well, though he would not admit it, and knew the type of woman he would generally share his bed with. Alessandra was far from it with her body, and then there was the mask. There had to be a reasonable explanation. Edgar sipped the sweet wine his grandmother always got right. The sooner you realize I don't care for your questions, the better. This is not an interview for the papers. Stop questioning me and move along before my patience snaps. Edgar looked around for a servant walking around with food to send them Alessandra's way. Come on, Edgar. All I'm trying to understand is why you are settling for someone like that out of all people. The mask is a bit extreme. What does she have to hide? I'm telling you, it has to be something her family owns. So, what treasure have you stumbled on and gained thanks to her? Or, perhaps... Daniel grinned as he felt he found the reason. Dominic covered his face, preparing for the worst to come. He might soon get his wish of being an only child. His younger brother just did not know when to shut up. I know there are many things men like these days, and they do whatever they can to keep their hands on them. You do seem like the type to have a kink for a woman wearing a mask, Daniel said, and smiled when he finally caught Edgar's attention. Edgar's gaze had shifted from watching someone to him, and from one married man to another. Daniel had advice to offer. Listen, you don't marry women like Alessandra because they satisfy your desires. Even if she is good in bed. Ah! A scream echoed throughout the room as Daniel stumbled back from the punch he had not seen coming. The sound of glass shattered against the marble floor after Edgar dropped the wine glass he had been holding. His hands were only focused on Daniel's face. Here we go. Dominic set his empty glass to the side as he watched the outcome he knew was coming. Daniel touched his nose where he had been punched and glared at Edgar. You... His words were interrupted when Edgar punched him again. This time, it was hard enough to make Daniel fall against the floor. Edgar did not end it there. As he followed Daniel down to the floor and continued to punch him right in the face repeatedly. Edgar had been drowning out most of Daniel's nonsense as he had been watching Alessandra. But when he finally listened and heard Daniel had the nerve to mention something about Alessandra being good in bed, his tolerance had snapped, and his hand moved on its own. We need to break them up. Wait. Dominic blocked a man he did not recognize from breaking up the fight. Let Edgar get one more hit in. One more, he added after Edgar hit Daniel twice. Now we can break it up. He bent down to pull Edgar off his younger brother. He was the only one in the room who could break up a fight Edgar was a part of. Had it been a playful conversation and Edgar punched his brother out of the blue, Dominic would not have allowed things to get this far. However, when Dominic warned him to shut up, Daniel had taken things too far by speaking about Alessandra. He had no choice but to let a husband be angry at someone speaking nonsense about his wife. Dominic successfully pulled Edgar back by restraining his arms. He shook his head at the sight of his brother with a bloody nose and lip. Edgar. Dominic looked to the sidelines and found Alessandra standing before the crowd. Concern and confusion were written all over her face. Edgar, you have every right to want to beat the shit out of him for talking too much. But your wife is here. Think of her instead of Daniel, Dominic whispered to Edgar. Edgar's heated gaze left Daniel and looked up, where he saw Alessandra worried about him. What did I say about tonight? Rose's angry voice was heard over the crowd. A path was made for her to see who had ruined the party. Rose calmly approached the trio, her eyes first going to Daniel's bloody face, and then to Dominic holding Edgar, who had a bloody fist. Daniel sat himself up, swaying to the side here and there as he was on the verge of passing out. Call a doctor to tend to Daniel's face. A doctor? Daniel looked up at Rose as if she was crazy. He attacked me for no reason. Mother! His eyes watered when she came into view. May Carson crouched down beside her bruised son, her heart twisted with pain, seeing his bloody nose, bruised lip, and tooth that was out of place. This is unacceptable. She looked up at Rose for justice. Edgar should not go around hitting anyone. Crystal ran to her husband's side after reaching the front of the crowd and finding that her husband was the person involved in the mess. She burned with anger and felt the need to slap Edgar. Please do something. Someone must alert the men outside of what has happened and bring my husband. Lady Collins, this is not acceptable. We are family, May said. What happened here? Rose looked to Dominic, the calmest person there, for an explanation. May did not see the point in asking what happened when Daniel's face was a mess. He was the victim here. My son has a bloody face. There is no telling how he will look after this. Just because he has a bloody face does not mean he is in the right. I will make a judgment of who is wrong and send them away. What happened, Dominic? Rose asked again. This time, she would not accept anyone butting in. Daniel brought up something about the Duchess, so Edgar punched him. He deserves it, honestly. You have to know when to admit he is in the wrong, Mother. You hardly do, which is why he keeps doing as he likes. He paid the price for talking too much today. Dominic spoke his mind, not caring if it was not what his mother wanted to hear. It was not the first time his brother got in trouble because of his river mouth. Knowing Edgar, Rose knew what Daniel said could not have been pleasant. Edgar attended many of her parties and never once attacked anyone while they were going on. She wanted to know what was said, but wanted to avoid it becoming the talk of the party and embarrassing Alessandra. It seemed there was nothing she could do right to make Alessandra enjoy a party. Bring the doctor to Daniel and then have him leave afterward. Alessandra, take Edgar into one of the bathrooms to deal with his fist. He will show you the way. Do not bring him back until he has calmed down, Rose said, particularly wanting Alessandra gone so she could deal with those ruining her party. Right. Alessandra snapped out of her thoughts and went to Edgar's side. Lead me to where the bathroom is, she whispered. When Edgar touched her hand to take her to the bathroom, she felt it trembling, which meant despite his calmness, he was pissed. Daniel was in disbelief at how easily Edgar was getting off for punching him dead in the face. You'll let him get away just like that, Mother? Even you, Dominic. I told you you were wrong, and if I were you, I would shut my mouth because Edgar is not too far to turn around and kill you. Because I'm sure that's what he wanted to do, said Dominic. What I said did not warrant me getting punched. Dominic shook his head. You can't poke at someone and expect them to react how you want them to. Don't talk about his wife ever. That's the point you got today, right? I'm going to find my father and a doctor. Try not to get killed. Meanwhile, Alessandra and Edgar walked to the bathroom without saying a word to each other. They both had 1,000,001 things running through their minds. Edgar opened the bathroom door for Alessandra and followed in behind her. Where is the... In here. Edgar opened a drawer near the sink. My hands are fine. We'll see after we run it underwater, Alessandra said as she went by the sink and turned it on. To not worry her, Edgar placed his hand under the water to remove the blood, and just like he said, he was fine. Alessandra gently touched his hand to soothe any pain he might be feeling. What happened? She asked after a moment of silence. What did he say about me to make you react like this? It is nothing, Edgar replied. It wasn't nothing if you punched him amid a party at your grandmother's home. I can handle whatever he says, Edgar. I've probably heard far worse. That's the fucking problem. Everyone talks too much, and you have to take it all in. Before I came into your life, no one could defend you. I should have killed him right then and there. He's been a pain in the ass for too many years, Edgar muttered, regretting holding back when he had the chance to wipe away Daniel's existence. I'm glad you did not kill him. I don't know what was said, but I'd rather not spend the rest of this day trying to get my husband out of jail, Alessandra joked to lighten the mood. Your knuckles may end up swelling. The last thing on Edgar's mind was his knuckles, when Daniel was most likely running his mouth. However, he did enjoy the massage she was giving him to ease the pain she thought he had. He had been in worse fights, so punching someone did not cause him pain that bothered him. Thank you for defending me, Alessandra said, grateful to have someone who protected her name when absent. I just hope you will not be in trouble because of me. Trouble from who? Well, your grandmother seemed pretty angry, and some of your relatives might not like that you punched him, Alessandra replied. If my grandmother did not like my actions, she would have slapped me. She would have slapped me if I stood by and let Daniel speak of nonsense about you. Come here. Edgar pulled her closer. Her presence was enough to calm him down for now. I am sorry, he apologized. Alessandra tilted her head and stared at him, deeply confused by the apology. What are you apologizing for? You defended me. I ruined the night you were meant to enjoy. I owe you an apology. Edgar knew how much she had been looking forward to meeting his family, from her continuously talking about it to her inability to sit quietly in her seat on the ride here. Oh, honestly, you did not ruin the night for me. Edgar felt like there was someone who had bothered her and asked, Did someone say something to you? I just have to get used to hearing about pregnancy. Do not look so upset. I made sure to remind her about manners. Remember, this is the only time when the pain was meant to be kissed away, Alessandra stated, before she kissed the back of Edgar's hand. How times have changed. You did it without me having to plead for it, Edgar commented while he watched Alessandra kiss each of his fingers on the hand he had punched Daniel with. Well, you are too angry to be your teasing self to get a kiss out of me. We should get something to put on your hand to deal with the redness. To think this hand did so much damage to Daniel's face. There is hardly any way you will reconcile, and I don't mind. I'm not fond of him and his wife because they seem just out to get your grandmother's home. Alessandra didn't know the extent of Daniel's wealth, but given the family he was a part of, he must be well off with a home already. If Rose wanted to give the house to her only grandchild, why did that concern anyone else? The ridiculous house talk again. My grandmother will outlive everyone who is eyeing it. If I am in pain, will you kiss it away? Edgar asked as he reverted back to his teasing nature. Alessandra released his hand, not believing he was in any pain, but was only returning to his playful side. According to you, your hand does not hurt, so no. Now that you have calmed down, we should head back to see what is happening. Alessandra wanted to leave the sink, but Edgar kept her cornered there. Then how about a kiss to help the last of my anger disappear? Wouldn't want me to see Daniel and punch him again. Alessandra sighed, leaning toward walking away, but Edgar had defended her and could have bruised his hand. The least she could do was kiss him. Alessandra tiptoed to kiss him on his cheek only. That is hardly enough. Give me a real... Open the door! A woman's voice and loud knocks on the bathroom door interrupted the moment. Alessandra recognized the voice to be Crystal's. Do you think something is wrong with Daniel? No. His wife is angry and ready to take it out on the person who embarrassed her husband. Let's ignore her, Edgar said, using his hand to turn Alessandra's face toward him. He was determined to get the kiss he desired, even if there were to be an angry mob on the outside. We cannot hide in the bathroom until everything outside is calmed down, and I have no desire to sneak out the window. We should just finish everything and leave after speaking with your grandmother. I cannot believe I am saying this, but I miss Lockwood. Edgar. Alessandra touched his face after he did not move. We are not hiding away here. Alessandra had an inkling that he didn't want to leave the bathroom because she would be dragged into what happened tonight and hear what was said about her. Why not? I'm pretty comfortable. There are ways for us to entertain ourselves until everyone leaves, said Edgar. Alessandra thought of a proposition Edgar would not resist and said, If we leave now, I will kiss you in the carriage to calm this so-called anger you have left inside you. Edgar! Crystal yelled outside the door. That is hardly an offer when I can find a way to kiss you right now. You are going to have to do better than that. Add something to the kiss, he advised her. Alessandra couldn't think of what she could add to the kiss. They could not do what they did in their bedroom in the carriage. Like what? How about this? I will leave this bathroom with you now. If you do one thing I will ask in the carriage along with the kiss, but I will not tell you what it is now. Deal? Edgar held out his hand for her to shake. Alessandra eyed him with suspicion, but she agreed to the deal. Before yesterday, she would have been nervous, but now she anticipated anything Edgar would want to do when they were alone. There was only a tiny fear of when they would go all the way. Edgar backed away first and went to open the door, where a fuming Crystal stood glaring at him. Edgar leaned against the doorpost and asked, How can I help you? A slap echoed throughout the small bathroom right after he spoke. Edgar bit his tongue and sighed, taking the slap without care. He could not retaliate against a woman, but he would not take being slapped twice. Furious by the sight of Edgar being slapped and could do nothing about it, Alessandra marched to the door, her blood boiling with each slap. She understood Crystal's anger, but Crystal should know how unfair it was to slap Edgar when he could do nothing. Alessandra stood between Edgar and Crystal to prevent Edgar from getting hit again. She didn't know where the confidence came from, but was glad it showed up now. There is no need to slap Edgar, and I would suggest you not do it again, Alessandra said, glancing at Crystal's hand, which was still in the air, ready to slap Edgar again. Crystal scoffed, taken aback by Alessandra taking Edgar's side, after what he did to her husband. Duchess? No, Alessandra. Crystal decided to address Alessandra without her title, because she did not want to be respectful. You cannot agree that it was right for your husband to punch mine. Daniel is now suffering from a broken nose, and one of his teeth is certain to fall out if not cared for. Alessandra was surprised by the force Edgar had hit Daniel with. Had Dominic not been there to break up the fight, Daniel's family could have been preparing for a funeral. Still, that did not mean Edgar could be slapped. I am sorry for what has happened to your husband, but he spoke negatively of me. I am sure you would expect your husband to defend you, she replied. In the middle of a party where others came for a good time? No, I am not so fragile to need my husband to punch another man for what was said about me. I heard what was said, and it was not even that bad. Everyone present has been questioning a mask. And what, you got angry because Daniel said she is just good for sex? Crystal turned to Edgar as she said this. Edgar glared at Crystal for revealing what he wanted to hide. If only he could fling her away back to her pathetic husband. Alessandra balled her fist, holding in the anger and disgust she felt for such a thing being mentioned in a conversation. If you have no problem with your husband saying that about another man's wife, you are just as disgusting as him.